Hey, what's up, guys? Jeff Kamke here with Wealth Energetics. In today's video, I want to talk to you a little bit about why do we talk about money so much? It can be very triggering for some people to be talking a lot about money. I grew up in the Christian church, and I know money was sometimes a very sensitive topic. Some people didn't want to talk about it. With some people, there seemed to be this certain like mystic dollar amount that you went from being a good person and a giver and benevolent to being this evil person that just, if you had a certain amount of money or beyond, you automatically became, evil and you screwed people. And that was always an odd dynamic, I know, growing up of like, okay, what's really going on here? That's very triggering for people when people drive up in a BMW to church. Like that person, there's a certain segment of the population in the church community that would look down on that person. And it was just always very interesting to me about that. So why do we talk about money? Because there's certain people I know when we grew up in the church, that said, well, we're not here to make money, and that's against God's will. And I know growing up in church, I always thought about that. I heard many church people talk about Joel Osteen, who is a prosperity gospel preacher, that God wants you to live in abundance and God wants you to have the nice stuff. And you hear other opposing views to that were, you need to basically sell all your stuff and be poor and serve God and get rid of all your belongings. Don't have attachment to the material world. And trying to navigate those beliefs that I observed in other people, comes into what I do now. And you might wonder, like, what is the big thing around talking about money and the obsession about money and the training about money and the constant talking about money? Like, is it really necessary? And what's the point to it? So I want to bring a few of my thoughts to this in my years doing, wealth strategies and being around personal development and law of attraction and alternative healing and bioenergetics, kind of putting a lot of different thoughts together into this that I hope will be expansive for you and help you give you some clarity. And maybe if you've been wondering, like, what's my view on money and what's, the boundary over here of, too much money is a bad thing, and the boundary over here of, get rid of everything and go live in a cardboard box and serve God, wherever you're at and all that. And I'm not here to say one's right or wrong. I'm just going to share with you some of my thoughts and beliefs that I've gained over the years and a perspective that some of my mentors have shared with me, like Garrett Gunderson and others, around what I feel like is a good framework around money that helps us be the best versions of ourselves. So one of the things that Garrett Gunderson always talks about, and many others do, it's not his exclusive thought process by any means, is that money is just a tool. Money is not good or bad. There's basically a magnification of your heart. And there's some scriptures in the Bible that talk about this, that basically whoever you are at the core and you have more money to do that with, it's going to basically amplify what's already there. So if you're inherently an evil person and you gain much money, you become very wealthy with money, that's going to basically take that evil spirit and you're going to do more evil because you now have more financial resources to spread that evil into the world. Conversely, if you are a very generous person or a very giving person or a type of person that wants to put value into the world and serve other people, and you become wealthy, that's going to magnify those aspects and characteristics of your vibration and your energy. And then you're going to be doing that into the world, giving and serving and blessing and expanding and doing positive things for other people and serving people through your products and services if you have a business. That's the inherent nature. So by its intrinsic value, money doesn't have a quality of positive or negative. It's very neutral, and it's those of us that use it. It's just like a knife or a gun. The gun or the knife doesn't do the killing, right? Well, the money doesn't make someone good or bad. It just amplifies what's already there at a vibrational level, at an energetic level, about their core nature, their beliefs, maybe what traumas they're carrying along with them, right? And that's the type of person that they become. And then it gets exaggerated and amplified when there's a large amount of money. And we can obviously see this, in business. We know that there's corporations that, maybe through like years back with Vioxx, for instance, drug company that ended up killing 50,000 people or whatever that number was. And they got a slap on the wrist with a several $billion fine, but their profits were much more than that. So there can be an element of, money can put profit above human value, the life value of people. And then we know other corporations and companies that, I think of Tony Robbins, for instance. I know he does a lot of charity work overseas and drills wells and feeds the hungry and does things with Operation Underground Railroad, which is the trafficking organization, one of the many that does that. And, so there could be good that gets amplified from that, right? So that's my encouragement for you. If you're wondering, like, okay, where am I at on all this? Like, know who you are. If you're not happy with exactly who you are, work on changing that and improving that to where when you do have money, or maybe you already do have money and you realize you've made some bad mistakes, maybe you've screwed some people, like course correct, make those changes, right? So that you can become a positive vessel with the money that you have and let that money flow through you and bless other people and do positive things in the world. So that's my view on, what money is. But then, just going back to the heart of the matter of, what is money? Why do we talk about money so much? Well, I think from my viewpoint, if money has been placed on your heart, or wealth or abundance has been placed on your heart, it is a core desire that you want to expand financially, have more money to do the things that you want. I'm a firm believer that God did not create all that he created for us to live paycheck to paycheck, for us to struggle, for us to stress over money. I believe that he created us to, when we tap into the fullest version of who he created us to be, and utilize our values and our skills and our experiences for good in this world, that abundance will naturally flow through you. One of my mentors, Dr. Mortar, he always talked about that if we are connected to the flow of God, and this goes back to chiropractic principles. I'm not going to go too deep here, but D.D. Palmer back in the 1800s, when he created chiropractic, there was a principle he created called above, down, inside, out, which is what he termed how the body heals. So he said, there's basically a flow of energy down from the heavens into our body energetically. Some call that the veil or the tether. You might have heard those terms depending on, what circles you run in, and that energy comes down into the body. We know that you have chakras. We know that you have meridians. You know that you have an energy field. And so that energy comes down. Those systems take that energy from the heavens and distill it down into ultimately what goes into our nervous system, to our brain. Our brain processes that data with filters of what's already there from our own life experience, how we've been programmed, our own decisions. And then our brain tells our body what to do: elevate blood sugar, elevate blood pressure, turn down digestion, turn down reproduction, move your arm, go do this talk on stage, learn this skill, go to college, go ask this girl out, right? Our brain is giving the commands, the motor signals to our body to go do things in 3D that create from that. And in the healing world, the above, down, inside, out is, as the information comes into the body then heals from the inside out energetically. And so when we're tapped into the flow of abundance, not only does that hold true for healing, but it holds true for what we create and manifest in the world and with abundance. If we are serving people and positive things are flowing through us, an energetic match to that type of thing flowing through us, there's going to be a value exchange. And the more service that we do, the more value that we do in this world, the more that we're going to be reciprocated with abundance. Now, there's still skill sets you have to learn, obviously, marketing and communication and sales and persuasion and all those things, obviously, all from an ethical standpoint of getting people to see the needs that they have and get them to up level in their life and make a positive transformation, a positive change to do the things that they know they want to, that maybe they can't get to do. That to me is the persuasion, the leadership to get somebody to maybe they're stuck and get them to move in the right direction. That is the type of persuasion. I'm not talking about trying to get somebody to buy a car that they can't afford. Like that kind of stuff's garbage. That's lower consciousness. I'm really talking about, getting to the point where you're flowing with the energy of the person you want to become and the skill sets and everything that come with that, to where abundance is flowing. And I believe that God created us to be harmonized with abundance in whatever form or fashion resonates with you. Not everybody wants to be a millionaire and everybody wants to be a billionaire. But what I don't want to see happen is, this is something I've had to learn in my life, is to knock out the noise of people trying to say you shouldn't be wealthy because you're become an inherently evil person. And if you truly want to experience more wealth, then go for that. Listen to that intuitive ping. Listen to God's guidance in that and trust it, and know that if that desire is on your heart, these situations, opportunities, the people are going to show up in your life to make that a fulfilled promise or a fulfilled manifestation in your life at some point. There's going to be lessons along the way to learn all that, and that's all good, but it's part of the journey. And I believe wholeheartedly that if we have that desire on our heart, it is to pull us through the trials and the things that seem to be holding us back so that we can learn how to overcome those things. the fear of public speaking, or being intimidated in sales, or not knowing what to say in certain circumstances, or whatever the things that are holding you back are, I believe that the desire for more, the desire for increase, the desire for abundance is there to pull us through, so that we have something on the other side of our struggles to help see us through, so that we can work through them and ultimately, have that motivation and desire to work through them, so that we can become the version of ourselves that God created us to be. So I see that process as a very spiritual process, a very refining process, because we have to get to the deeper levels of our soul and our spirit and our psyche to be able to figure out what is holding us back. What do we need to do to tap into that fuller version of ourselves and to experience abundance? Because from what I've learned in my own life and what mentors of mine that resonate in this area, is going after abundance, going after money is not about the house. It's not about the Lamborghini. It's not about those things. It's about the person you become en route to developing yourself to be able to create those things in your life. And that part is a spiritual experience. It reminds me of a realtor that I knew on the west side of Michigan. I was involved in a Business Networking International, BNI. It was a referral networking group, a very successful one that I was blessed to be a part of in Western Michigan years ago. And I remember a one-to-one that I had with a realtor over there. And she talked about, in her view, that if you were doing whatever God called you to do, that was spiritual work. And I thought about that. I'm like, that is a very profound thing, that whatever you're here to do, if you're doing it, you're succeeding with it, you're blessing other people, you're helping other people, you're serving other people, that you're doing spiritual work through that. And I'm a firm believer that when you're finding the parts of you that need to be up-leveled and improved and changed, that part is a spiritual process. And by having the desire for wealth and for material things, it's developing you at a soul level while you're here in 3D in the world right now. And wherever we go after that, if it's just heaven or if we're going somewhere else after that, and we learn things in other planets or in other galaxies, I don't know how it all works, but I have to believe there's more than just Earth here. And depending on what rabbit hole you go down, I think other philosophies would agree with that to some level, that God's created much more than a one-stop shop here on Earth, that we don't come here and then it's heaven or hell and then it's all over after that. I think there's more that elevate our consciousness and refine our being over a number of years and a number of situations outside of just Earth. So not to get too far off in the rabbit hole there, but just a belief that I have that fits into this, and that if you want the material things, a lot of times it's not about the things, it's about what those things give you. And it may be more time freedom. Maybe it's just a feeling of freedom and not being tied to a job, because if we can produce enough money and we can put that money to work in various investment vehicles or whatever that looks like, or in businesses, to where we have ongoing cash flow that exceeds our bills and our cost of living by several fold over, and we do that by age 30, that gives us 35 more years to retirement age, that we can still do whatever we want to do. It doesn't mean you're going to be a bum, but it gives you a level of freedom that you wouldn't have if you were tied to a job and had to wait till you're 65 years old to experience, that type of freedom. So that is part of what drives me, is getting to that point to where I'm creating in my life, developing myself so that the money is flowing, so that I can have experiences in my life and experience nicer things. I want to experience nicer cars, and I've done some of that in my life. I've been blessed to do that. But up level the home, create a better environment for my children, put them in private school, which we're in the middle of doing that right now. I'm very blessed to be in a position to do that. Being able to travel more and have more fun experiences with my kids before they get too old. And I'll be quite candid and open with you right now. On my pursuit to do this, I missed some of the good times that I could have had with my dad that just passed away 2 months ago. I was so busy on working and creating that ideal life that I missed the life that I have right now. So that's all a balance, right? You have to figure out what that looks like for you and what's a good balance for you. And how much do you buckle down and try to make it happen versus enjoying life? And obviously, if you have more financial stability and freedom, it can allow you to enjoy life, but it could also mean you miss out on life. So for you have to figure out what that balance is. But for me, it's about developing myself, creating more freedom, creating more experiences for my kids to have, for me to have, and being able to share in that abundance and serve more people And I am reminded of a very positive attribute about Dave Ramsey. I tend to knock on some of his views on whole life insurance and a few of his financial concepts. And while I do knock on those specific things, some of the things that I love about him is that years ago, somebody was really knocking on him for having a huge mansion. And he wrote a letter in response that I think went, public. It was on the internet. You might probably could do a Google search for this. I should have done that prior to. I wasn't planning on saying this, but I know he wrote a letter and saying that many of you don't have an abundance mindset and you can't see the opportunities that can come from having a several $1 million home where I can invite people over that wouldn't come to a $200,000 house in, middle America, but they would come to a mansion. And these are high profile celebrities, athletes, decision makers. They would be in an environment of a multi-million-dollar house. So for him, he's like, I can serve better with a big asset like a house that many people in a scarcity mindset or a lower vibrational money mindset can't see that big. They just see the big mansion, and nobody should have that kind of money and nobody should enjoy that kind of house. It's too much, blah, blah, blah. And I love that his response was that about, sometimes you're just not at the right point to be able to see, the fruits of your labor and what the potential can be there with wealth and with money and the things that money can buy that allow you to expand your impact, reach more people, reach higher level people, reach decision makers. We know that if you have money, you have the opportunity to do more influence for good. Obviously, if you have more money, like I said in the beginning, you can do more influence for bad. And we see that through lobbying, but it can also be done to reciprocate that and to help balance out the negative in the world. You can do a lot of positive with the money that you have and the wealth that you have in this world to help, ultimately affect the consciousness of the planet, I believe. So hopefully those few thoughts give you some perspective on money. And if you've, wrestled with where do I stand on this and what should be a good viewpoint that I align with, hopefully this gave you a few thoughts that you can go, okay, now I can narrow down to where, I feel like I fit into some of that framework and adds with some other things that I've heard from other people. And, that feels really good to me and where I need to be and a level of wealth that I want to experience. Maybe I needed to hear permission that I can go for more. I can go for more money. I don't have to be stuck at $100,000. Maybe I can go for 300,000. I don't have to be stuck at 250. I can go to 1 million. If that's a desire placed in your heart, listen to it, go after it. It's there for a reason. Trust that and utilize your life and your tools and your skills so that you can make that outcome, because what you don't know is what's on the other side of that. Once you accomplish that, there's going to be more doors that open that you're going to be able to see like, oh, now I understand why I needed to go after this. I didn't see it back then. And see, there's a success phrase that says, go as far as you can see. And when you get there, you'll see further. And that very much holds true to this, that if you have that desire, trust that intuitive ping or that calling or that burning desire that you have, because once you arrive there and you go through all that spiritual work to up-level yourself, transform your thinking, transform your energy, learn the skills that get you to that point. Once you are there, it's going to be like, oh my gosh, no wonder I had to develop all that, because now I get to develop all this much more. And you won't be able to see the second step until you get to the completion of your first step. So I would encourage you, wherever you're at in this process, keep going. Don't give up. There's going to be days that suck. There's going to be days that you don't want to do it. There's going to be days you want to give up. You want to throw in your cards, shut down your businesses and run away. But if that desire is there, make sure you listen to that. Keep going. Keep building the life that you want to live. Keep building a life that you want to love so you can serve more people, share your passions with the world. And as I said, a rising tide raises all ships. So as you rise your consciousness and become a more empowered person, that has a ripple effect in your sphere of influence and helps other people make positive changes and positive decisions in their life to do better, to go after their calling, to get better in certain areas of their life because they saw it in you first. Now they're inspired to do it with themselves. So I just encourage you, wherever you're at in all this, keep going. Don't give up. There's great things coming for you. And I'm excited to hear of your successes. If you've already had a bunch of successes and you're already on this path, leave me some comments. I'd love to share, and make a little community out of this and share our experiences, share our successes, celebrate in them, and, help each other as we're all on a journey of expansion and evolution to become better versions of ourselves and serve more people for good. So if you found value in this video and resonated with it, of course, I've got tons more content about bioenergetics, about wealth, about finances, about how to create the life that we want. I'm going to go into vision boards, how do we clear negative energy and update interference at a subconscious level? What about investing? What about 401ks? What about whole life insurance? I've got a ton of that content on here. I've got podcasts on this YouTube channel. So if you like what I've got, check out more. Make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you have the notification bell on so that when I produce more content, you can be one of the first people to see it and see what exciting topics I'm talking about that can help you go to the next level in your life. And of course, if you have somebody that might want to hear this topic tonight that I'm recording, send it to somebody. Pick 2 or 3 people that are like, hey, they need to hear this. They need to be reaffirmed of maybe what they already know, but maybe they're discouraged. Maybe they're having a hard time. Maybe they've had a setback. Give them this video, send them this link so that it can be encouraged and uplifted and inspired to get back on track and keep motivated. So thanks for watching this video, guys, and we will talk to you guys real soon. Take care.